Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today we are going to be doing a chatty repot with me, kind of like a life update, how things are going video. So if you are new to this channel, I'm Emma and I post like planty houseplants videos here on YouTube. I also have an Instagram account with the same name, Emma's Plant Wonderland, if you guys want to follow me on there as well. But I'm not really going to spend too much time on the intro today. It's going to be kind of a longer video, I feel like already, just by the topics I have wrote down to talk about. But yeah, if you guys are new, I didn't just move. I moved about 2 months ago, maybe even a little over 2 months ago. And it has just been kind of a crazy last couple of months. Preparing for the move, then settling in here in my new place. So it's kind of just been a really hectic time for me, and I really haven't been posting the best on YouTube or Instagram, really. I will kind of go in depth about that. Well, not too in depth, but I'll cover that later on in the video and why I've kind of taken a break from social media. But if you guys are interested in at least the plants I'm repotting and kind of like what has been going on with me, and just keep on watching. So the first thing I want to do in this repot with me is make a moss pole. I have kind of been inspired to start making my own moss poles and by by Wild Fern. Okay, so what I first want to do for this video, because I am going to be repotting some philodendron that are climbing philodendron, and one of them I kind of have on like a stick that it originally came with, and one of them is not on any support, and I just want to put them on some supports. I have done like the whole wood plank thing, which does work, but it's kind of hard to get that to sit in a pot situation, and it doesn't look the best. The only way that I figured out how to do it is kind of just like tape it to the back of the pot. And most of those live in my grow tent and I don't move them. But with this method that Wild Fern does and a few other people do, and now I'm doing, is you can put the moss pole in the pot and it will be fine. It's not like the wood moss poles or anything, which I do have those. I don't necessarily recommend those long term. I've had a few like rot on me and it's just, nobody wants to deal with that. So I've been branching out and doing this. I put my philodendron ring of fire on a moss pole and now I'm just like hooked. So we're gonna make 2 more today for sure. I have 4 plants, or at least 2 plants I want to repot, 2 plants I just want to take out, possibly repot, just like check on the root system, you know. So yeah, so we're gonna be doing 4 plants today, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So the first moss pole I did make with like using this method, I did 16 squares because Wild Fern does 16 squares, so that's what I wanted to start with. Honestly, I feel like that's pretty big, and I'm gonna make 2 different sizes today. This first one I'm cutting right now is 15 squares, which isn't a big difference, but I'm gonna put my philodendron Jose Buono on this one. So I want it to be a thicker moss pole, but it doesn't need to be, I don't know. Really, there's not a big difference between 15 and 16 squares, but. So that's the 15 one, and then for the next one I'm gonna do it for my philodendron Adabapoense crossed with Billietier, I believe. It's just on like a little stake right now, and yeah, I want it to grow big again, so I'm gonna put it on one of these, but I'm gonna make it thinner because it's in moss, like the plant is in moss, and I want to keep it in moss. So I feel like that's gonna be a lot more stable than soil will be. I don't know. I just don't feel like I need to make this one as big, and we're just experimenting, and that's what we're doing. No, like, we'll do 12 for this one, so it'll still be pretty big. I just don't want to make it so small that it's like wonky, you know? And 10 looked kind of small, so we're just gonna do 12 squares. Okay, here are the pieces. I need to show you guys this first before we like really get into the topics. This is sphagnum moss. Like, and I've made one, and I took out 2 large clumps and put them in water over here. And like, it's still a full bag. Guess how much this cost me. If you are on Instagram, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know how much this cost me. One of the topics we're gonna discuss today is that I got a new job at a plant store. We got this in stock, and I was like, whoa, how much is that? And I think they originally said it was like $29.99, and I'm like, for this whole bag? And they're like, yeah, and I'm like, that's a steal. Like, that's a hardcore steal. I know that this is condensed. I guess I would say this is compressed. It's not like condensed. Like, I can smush it a little bit. It's not like those super dried out bricks you get off Amazon for like 20 bucks. But this isn't like fluffy by any means. Like, this is solid. Like, this is a solid 2 cubic foot bale of sphagnum moss. They originally thought they wanted to price it at $29.99, and I was like, that's a steal. I'm taking them all. And so then they raised the price to $35.99. I'm like, that's whatever. So I bought one, obviously. I really need a potting mat, but I don't have one, so I'm using this lid. So I'm sure y'all have seen somebody make a moss pool before. I'm gonna fill this with sphagnum moss and then zip tie it closed. I'm not gonna tell you guys everything I'm doing in this video, so it's not gonna be super like informational video. You get it. I did ask you guys on Instagram, like, if you had any topics you wanted me to discuss. I got like 4 responses. Honestly, my stories don't get that much like activity, so I wasn't that surprised, but I will be answering those questions kind of as I go along, and then anything that doesn't really come up in the other topics, I'll answer at the end. So if you guys ask me a question, like I said, I'll either answer it during the video in the middle, or I will answer all the Instagram videos at the end, what I didn't do during the video. If that makes sense? I don't know. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was like moving and how it's going settling in, which is kind of like a broad topic. Since I did kind of touch on that it's been like ridiculous here, not because of like where I'm living. I am in the Iowa City area, if you guys didn't know. I moved from northern Iowa. So yeah, I'm sure it's kind of confusing to some of you because I do own the house I was living in before. And I decided to move out of the house and not sell it. So it is kind of odd. But I probably will never sell that house, even if I never move back, because I purchased it from my family members, and they all owned it together because it was my grandparents' house that my great-grandparents built for them. And it was kind of, you know, it's an old house, it's an old farmhouse. It has kind of had better days, let's just say. And it wasn't really taken care of the best. So like when it rained, the roof leaked a lot in a lot of different places. You know, it was just, yeah. So I bought the house in hopes to kind of rescuing it from being pushed into a hole, basically. And I feel like I have accomplished that well enough. I got new siding, new roof, it doesn't rain inside anymore. You know, there's obviously a lot that still needs to be done with it, but it's sustainable for now, basically. I don't know if I will do any more to it in the near future. That's not like aesthetically for the house. Like it needs a new AC, it needs a new furnace. Those are expensive. So like that might be the project of the year instead of like redoing cosmetic things. It's kind of a rant about that. But basically I bought it to save it. Because I broke my grandma's heart when she saw it for the first time after all that time. And I'm just glad to know that like it's sustainable and it's not going to get any worse anytime soon. And yeah, but my brother who lived with me during this time, we kind of like fixed it up together. I paid for most of it, obviously, because it was my house. And yeah, so he's continuing to live there without me. So we're kind of just like doing the whole like rent thing, because I still have a house payment on it. So you know, it's not really sustainable for me to like move and not rent out the house and then rent somewhere else, you know. So he's paying rent on the house, so that kind of helps me with my house payment. And yeah, so that's kind of that. It doesn't really make much sense, but I really just needed to experience other things than living in my hometown forever. So that's basically why I've decided to move. I had been thinking about it for a long time, like years, and then the pandemic hit and I was like, you know, I need to get out once this settles down. If it settles down, because you know, for a while there we didn't really know what to think. And it calmed down enough where I was comfortable with leaving my job, because I had worked for, you know, it was 4 years and like 10 months at a place that I really enjoyed what I was doing. Obviously COVID made everything suck. But I was a direct support staff in a home setting, and it was fun for the most part. Like every job has its downfalls and stuff, but it was really fulfilling. And yeah, so it was hard to leave that position, but I'm glad that I made the jump, made the move. I'm kind of like rambling, and I don't want to ramble during this whole video, so I need to like think about what I'm actually gonna say. So yeah, basically I decided to move. I got this verbal agreement with my sister, and you know, we kind of set up a verbal agreement for 1 year. Like, I'm gonna move down here, live with them, live in their basement for 1 year, and just kind of see what I like and what I don't like, and maybe after the year I'll be comfortable with moving somewhere else. You know, I've never lived out of the state. And if COVID has taught any of us anything, it's like that you only live once and that you really need to figure out what you want to do and just do it, because there's not enough time. So yeah. So that's kind of why I decided to move, and like the fact that I actually did it. When I did it, well, this guy is pretty stuffed full. Okay. Two, obviously I have a lot of plants, and that kind of makes moving a little bit more intense. Like, obviously moving sucks. Nobody really loves to move their stuff to a whole nother location, a whole nother town. And especially when you have like 100 plus plants, like obviously it's a lot to manage. I did downsize my collection a bit. That was one of the questions on my Instagram that Brooke asked me. She asked me how many plants I downsized and like how the plants are doing since moving. Like, did any of them go through any crazy stress? But the first thing, I downsized, and I should use the word condensed a lot of my plants. Like, a lot of my plants I had like multiples of like propagations, I guess I should say, that I wanted to like add back into the pot to make it fuller. Some of those I did before I moved. And then I went to a plant swap a couple of months before I moved, and I took like 30 to 40 plants, I think. So that really helped me downsize. I sold some plants online. I threw some away. Like, I know that's terrible to say, and I've never really been that type of person that's just like, throw it away, I'm done, I'm sick of it. Like, I've always been the type of person, like, I'm gonna keep it until it's brown and crispy and the roots are gone. And, you know, like, I hold on to plants for too long normally after they're deceased. So that was kind of new, but I was just like, so done with it, basically. I just couldn't, and it was just getting closer and closer to the move date, and I just needed to downsize. So a lot of the plants that were struggling, I just threw away, like, or cut up to put in a prop box. But then too, like, I condensed my prop boxes into like 2.5 prop boxes, I guess I would say. So yeah, just a lot of condensing, a lot of selling and giving and throwing, I guess, is kind of how it went down. The follow-up question was like, how are the plants doing? Like, basically, have you had any casualties? And I would say no, I haven't had any plants completely die. There was obviously a lot of like cosmetic damage, a lot of leaf damage, just from being transported and stuff. But I can't think of a plant that like actually died. But yeah, no, I can't really think of any plants that I actually killed during the move. So I guess that's good. I do feel like my collection has gotten smaller. I know my collection has gotten smaller because obviously I got rid of plants. Sorry. So, backstory, I kind of live with people now that like are here during the day sometimes. Like they sometimes work from home. And so like I texted Danny and I was like, hey, like I'm gonna be filming today, like text me if you need to come downstairs. Like obviously it's not that big of a deal, like I can edit it out. But she just walked around the whole house to get their dog outside. And now I feel bad. Oops. What was I saying? I didn't kill any plants. There is some cosmetic damage, obviously. I did film a moving vlog. If you guys haven't checked that out, I will try to have it linked down below. But it's one of my more recent videos because I haven't really been posting that much the last couple of months. So you'll see it on there for sure. So that was pretty much it for the topic of moving and settling in. I'm pretty much settled in. The plants are growing. I haven't had any casualties. I have been propagating, like everything's been fine. I've been doing repots. Everything has been fine with the plants. I don't necessarily feel settled in yet. I don't have a routine. I honestly kind of have just like been accepting the last the last week and a half, like my routine is feeling like I don't have a routine, which is an unsettling idea because I am an extremely routine person. I do have depression and, you know, they kind of say like, if you do something that upsets your routine, it kind of just like pushes you into a depressive episode, which has possibly been happening, but my depression is normally really bad in the winter. Towards the end of winter is like when it's the worst. So it's just kind of a horrible feeling to like be like this depressed. And then like in spring, it's like this is supposed to be the happiest time of the year for me, and I've been really struggling with like being motivated and like doing things with my plants. Like there's been weeks where I've literally opened my grow tent once a week, and before I moved I was opening my grow tent like once or twice a day. So it's just been hard for me to get used to the fact that I have no idea what's going on most of the time, and it's just something new that I am having to deal with, but I have started to feel better about it. I've been more productive the last few weeks. I mean, like there's still days where I'm just like, I'm so sick of feeling so unhappy, but like I chose to move, I chose to quit my job. Wasn't like forced on me, like this is a privilege what I'm doing right now. Like I'm basically taking a year off my regular life to like figure out what I want to do. Like people don't get to do that. So I've really just had to like check myself and be like, you're fine. This is normal. It's been a big change and a lot of crap has been going on. You'll get through it, obviously. Stop being, I don't want to say stop being so dramatic because like obviously I'm feeling things and my feelings are real. They're validated. But it's just been a learning curve, obviously. So first moss pole is done. It definitely is crooked. Oh. But I think it'll be fine. I don't really know like why I'm doing this though, because where am I going to put these plants once they're on the moss pole? I don't know. Okay, so now I'm kind of going to go into like other things that have been happening. Obviously the biggest one is the move and the change, but the next like big stressor that was happening was I've been wanting to purchase a new camera, which I'm filming on right now. I hope you guys enjoy the video. The camera is a long ways away, so I really hope the audio is okay for this video. Let me know down in the comments below, like, if you can see a difference. I know I've posted one other video using this camera. It was like a plant haul or something. But, yeah. So, I had never really looked into purchasing a camera before. You know, I had kind of looked into it, like I knew kind of like the price range, and I knew that I wanted a Sony vlogging camera. Because all the YouTubers were like, this is amazing, blah, 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 blah. So I knew that I wanted this camera. The Sony, I don't even know what it's called anymore. It's been so long since I've had to deal with this crap. The Sony EV110, or the Sony EV something else. I don't know. It's basically the new vlogging camera that Sony came out with. Then they came out with the EV110, I believe. That's like the new and improved version of their vlogging camera. And then I started researching it more and realized that there was like this mass shortage of chips, and you know, it's happening with the cars too. And so they stopped making this camera because it's not like essential, obviously. It's a camera. Cars are more important. Not necessarily new cars, but you know what like, you know, refrigerators is more important than a camera to most people. So they Sony stopped like producing. I'm just gonna do this on the table. So Sony stopped producing this camera, I believe, for that specific reason. At least that's what the internet has been saying. So it was like impossible to find. It's on eBay for like twice as much as the retail price, because people, you know, purchased when they first came out, and now they're seeing like, oh, you know, they're $1,300 on eBay. I'm gonna sell it, make some money. Because I think they retail at like $700, $800, depending on if you get the one without the lens or not. And so I went to Best Buy, not knowing this, and I was like, I want to purchase this camera. And they're like, oh, we don't really have any cameras in stock because of the chip shortage. And I'm like, oh, okay, where can I get this camera? And they're like, try online. So then I went online, and I'm like, oh, this isn't going to work out for me this year or the next year. I'm not going to spend, you know, $1,300 on a vlogging camera. That's actually $700. Because I'm just, you know, not that type of person, basically. And then I went back to Best Buy. I don't even know why. Oh, I think I was just going to purchase a computer then, and not get the camera, just so I could like be editing on a computer instead of editing on my phone. Because prior to this, I did everything on my phone, and it's just extremely annoying, basically, because I didn't have enough storage on my phone to do what I wanted to do. And so I really just needed to invest in a camera and computer if I wanted to continue making the videos that I've been making the last year and a half, maybe, at this point. So yeah, I chose, obviously none of these are necessities, but I wanted to do it, and I love making videos. So yeah, I don't need to rationalize this to you guys, because you guys get it, right? I don't know. Anyways, I go back in and I talk to a completely different person, and they're like, oh, our computer says that we have one. And I'm like a camera? And they're like, yeah, like a Sony camera, like one of the vlogging cameras. Didn't say which one. Obviously, if I had to pick, I would pick the newest one, even though that's more expensive, but it has, you know, better features and stuff. And he goes and he pulls it out of the case, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you've had this the whole time. I've been in here trying to buy a camera from you, and you guys had this the whole time. And they're like, yeah, I don't know when we got it, but it's refurbished. And I'm like, okay, like, can you go in depth on like what that actually means? You know, like, was it actually used and like something went wrong, or they used it and they're like, oh, I don't like it, and they returned it, or what? Because to me, it's like, why would they return it? Why wouldn't they sell it online like everybody else? So maybe they just weren't aware of what was happening with the prices of it. So they returned the camera. It was like checked over by the Geek Squad, which is like their, you know, tech department. Everything was fine. They just basically didn't want the camera, or they didn't like the camera for what they wanted to do with it. I don't really know. There's a lot of water in here still. So I was like, how much is it? And they're like, oh, I think it was like 600 and some change. So it did come with a lens, but some of them don't for some reason. I don't know what that's about, but basically Sony has 70 different types of lenses that you can use on their cameras. So sometimes you can buy their cameras without the lens and it's cheaper because you already have a lens that you like. I don't know. I didn't really care. I could buy the lens on Amazon. So I got the camera for around $600, and then I bought this lens because it's like the small, it's called the pancake lens. It's like the smallest lens that they had. I didn't want like a huge lens because that's just like obnoxious for me, and I'm not like a photographer or anything. Like, I just need something to like point and shoot basically. But yeah, so I got this camera and the lens, I think for around $800 because the lens was like $2. So yeah, I'm very happy with it. I've used it a couple of times now, and I haven't had any major issues. So that was basically the camera story. I have been struggling with my MacBook because when I like synced up my phone to my computer, all of my stuff from my phone went onto the computer, obviously. And the storage was like, oh, we're full instantly. So I've had to deal with that, but I've been figuring it out. We've been figuring it out. My sister's wife, Danny, is tech savvy, so we've been clearing out some of the storage and just, yeah. So once I learn how to like actually edit, like obviously I've been editing on there and like figuring it out, but some things happen and I'm just like, what? And then I have to delete everything and start over because I'm just like ignorant on how to use a computer. But basically I have the camera, it's beautiful, I love it. And I have a computer and it's beautiful and I love it. So here's to more beautiful content, like crystal clear content, I guess is what I'm saying. You know, where like the camera actually focuses on what you're showing it instead of like a phone. It's like, I don't know what you're showing me. And the next topic I want to talk about is my new job. So I wanted to get a greenhouse job or a plant shop job when I came down here, and that is what happened. So I am glad that that all worked out. I do work at a garden center. I like work in the store and out of the store. It's really been an awesome experience. Like, I've learned more in the last month or so about plants than, I mean, it's just crazy how much I don't know about plants. And kind of, I thought like this is gonna sound super annoying, but I thought like I knew as much as I needed to know. You know, I feel like I know a lot about houseplants. I'm not a botanist. I didn't go to college for it, but I definitely felt confident with the information that I was sharing. You know, plant advice and stuff like that. But that's houseplants, which is a completely different field than the majority of the stuff that I'm doing and talking about now. So since I'm in a garden center, like we also sell like perennials and shrubs and trees and annuals and we do sell houseplants. We do have a large selection of houseplants, but the majority of people that come in are looking for outdoor plants, and I like know nothing about outdoor plants. So that has definitely been a learning curve, but it's been amazing. I've learned so much, and obviously there's always more to learn. Like there's millions of plants out there, but I feel like we have so many plants. It has also been kind of an adjustment too, because it's been a long time since I've worked in public. There's a hair. But for the last 4 years, well, I would say for the last like 6 years, I've worked in a private setting. So, or semi-private setting. So I've worked as a direct support staff in the home. Like we would obviously go out in public, but we were like being, you know, like we were customers, like not the other way around. We were the consumers in that situation. And now like working in a store and like trying to sell things and like talk to people, and it's just a lot different than I remember it being. Like I've worked out in public before, not like, I don't even know what to call it, customer service, but not even customer service. I've worked in stores before. I just don't remember it being like this intense is the word I'm gonna use. Like there's days where I'm like, oh my gosh, I really offended this person because like they told me that we were offending them. And I'm just like, I need to like learn to let that go, because obviously me explaining how to water a plant is not offensive. They're just taking it as offensive because they think they know how to water a plant. It's like, obviously there's lots of ways to water a plant. So that's just kind of like one example. I just didn't know like that people got offended by people telling them that they need to water more or water less, or, you know, anything like that. So it's just things like that. It's like, wow, I kind of forgot that like people were like that. I'm not saying that I've had like a crazy Karen experience or anything like that, but there's still time. I've only been there, I guess, a little over a month probably. But yeah, but it's been great. I have learned so much. I don't know if I've really ever shared on here, but like my long-term life goal someday would be to like have a greenhouse. I'm not really sure how that would work now, but it would work if I moved back to the farm later on in life, because I have the space there, I have the land there to build a greenhouse. But yeah, I would just love to like actually like grow my plants and that's where I would only have the space to do it, I feel like. But yeah, it's really fun working at the garden center. It's not necessarily helping my no-buy. I will have to do an update video on my no-dye and like how it's going 6 months in, because we are 6 months into the year. You know, it's the end of July, or no, it's the end of June. Just stop trying to skip ahead, Emma. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about my new job. Like obviously I love it, but it is a lot of work, a lot more work than I was expecting it to be. Like some days I hit like 25,000 steps in a day. So that's kind of crazy, but it's really great. And I'm so glad and lucky that I got this job. Yeah, so one of the big reasons I decided to take like a leave of absence off of social media, it was not planned, it was impromptu. Like for YouTube, I've kind of taken breaks before where I have kind of just like cut back on posting, or like I miss a week or something like that, but nothing like this where I've, you know, and too on Instagram, you know, I like posted every day for a year. So it wasn't like super normal for me to just like stop posting on Instagram at least. But some crazy things all were happening at once, you know, like I moved, started a new job, trying to relearn like my routine. And then one of my family members like became really, really sick, and it was just a lot all at once. And, you know, and then too, like moving, I'm not even really in a city, like I'm outside Iowa City, but it's just such a different environment, than what I was used to. Like I had lived in the same town basically my whole life. So everything was just changing all at once, and compared to like my before life, you know, like obviously COVID was a lot, but it was like my day was still the same. Like I did the same thing every day, and now like I do something different every day, which is great. It's just something I'm not used to. So again, like that really affected my mental health. And then like it was just like my home life and my work life were crazy all at the same time. Like I jumped into the greenhouse job at like kind of like the worst time because it was spring. There was, you know, the first week I was there, one of the days my manager came up to me, and I had been working in the store all day. I had been running the cash register all day. One of the cash registers, we have two normally that are going on like a busy day. Like this was a Saturday or Sunday. She was like, I just want to let you know, like you did such a great job. Your drawer is perfect. And $10,000 went through your hands today. $10,000? Like, I didn't need to know that. is what I wanted to say. Obviously I didn't say that because I just started and like I didn't really know like what to say, but that's like so much money. Yeah, so it just like added this huge like crash all at once, and it was just mania all at once, and I couldn't make reels, you know, and reels, you're kind of like acting in the reels, like it's all fun, like I'm joking, like it's just a game, really is what some of the reels are, like you're just doing a voiceover and you're just like making a joke about like how you're killing plants, or, you know, people joke about like their plant addictions and blah, 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 and like, I mean, I don't mean this offensively, but like Instagram is kind of just like fun for me. It's not like I see myself like ever making a career as an influencer. Obviously that would be awesome to just like get paid to talk about plants. But I don't imagine that's gonna happen anytime soon to me or ever. And I don't even know if I want that to happen. I just like talking about plants. And so when I can't even get up and like take the time to look at my plants and care for my plants, there's no way in hell I'm gonna take the time to make a reel about this plant or about whatever you make a reel about. Like nothing's even coming to my head right now. I've been so unmotivated, so uninspired to film or make reels or anything. I have kind of started posting more on Instagram the last few days, but nothing too crazy, you know. And I'm not trying to blame like any one thing on like how I'm reacting. I'm just like trying to do what I want to do. And like the days where I'm like feeling good and like want to hang out with my plants and check on my plants and like repot and care for my plants, like I don't want to spend twice as much time dragging out the camera, dragging out the tripod, and like filming what I'm doing, because that's kind of like a buzzkill sometimes, because it takes you twice as long to, you know, film a repot with me. It took, I don't know what just happened, but I switched out the SIM card or whatever it's called. So I think that would be good again for a bit. I do have 2 other batteries, but I wanted to film several videos today. So I'm gonna need to learn how to clear out the SIM card and save everything onto my computer, which I don't know if I know how to do that yet. I don't know what I was just talking about, but we're just gonna skip to the next topic. When all of this was happening, this is like super mild compared to the rest of the stuff, but it was just like all of this other stuff was happening, and I'm supposed to like be repotting plants. What am I doing? Side note, planty talk happening. There's a spider web. Yummy. I just repotted this plant a few months back, but we're gonna do it again. Because I can. I had just repot my Philodendron Ring of Fire, like not even a month before I repotted it again. So I think it'll be fine, right? I want to put it in this white pot here. I know it's quite a jump. I guess it's not too bad, but you know, the moss pole will take up some space, and on top of all the other crap that was happening, it's like a big problem happening in my backyard, which I didn't even know like was possible until it was happening. So basically we had, I don't know why I'm saying we, I live in my sister's house. They had 2 apple trees in the backyard when they purchased the house. Their initial thought was, I want to get rid of the apple trees because my dog is going to eat the apples. And I don't want to deal with that, basically, because their dog has a really easily upset stomach. So obviously they didn't want to deal with the aftermath of that. And it's just kind of annoying, like your dog comes out and he's like eating stuff off the ground. I get it. Anyways, then they got a pool. Not like anything fancy, just, you know, like one of those blue with PVC pipe basically around it. Oh, these birds. Do not make a nest. Also, the birds here have been destroying my plant, my cocoa liner basket outside. And they just like keep trying to make nests like under the deck, and then they like dive bomb us, or they're gonna dive bomb us if they have babies in there. I don't like birds flying around my head, you know. That's off topic. Anywho, my sister was hanging out in the pool one day and she's like, oh, like what's biting me? And I'm like, oh, it's just like the pea bugs, like the picnic bugs, like those little black bugs. Just continues laying in the pool. I'm like sitting in a chair. I don't even remember why I wasn't in the pool, but it doesn't matter. So we were just hanging out talking, and she's like, gosh, these bugs are really, they're just really biting me. It hurts. It's just like annoying. And I'm like, well, yeah, like they're annoying, whatever. Brush it off again. Then her dad is like, look at all these bugs along the pool. Like they're so tiny. What is that? And I look at it, and I'm like, fuck. They're thrips in the pool, around the pool, swarming the pool. And I'm like, no. Like my first thought, I knew that they were thrips. And then I'm like, no, what? Like thrips are houseplant pests. Like, what are you talking about, Emma? Like, they're not thrips. Stop. And then, like, everyone's like, what are thrips? And I'm like, oh, they're just like a houseplant bug, and they like eat plants. They don't eat humans. Like, what are you talking about? They're not biting you. What are you talking about? Further research, they are thrips. They do bite humans, which is just crazy to know. So long story long, basically we had a massive thrip outbreak in the backyard. Basically, millions of thrips. The apple trees are like a super big home for thrips outside, which I had no idea that obviously like bugs come from outside. I just didn't know like this was a real thing that happened. I never heard anybody else talk about it. I just didn't know. If you look on your Captain Jack's bottle, pause this video, go get your Captain Jack's bottle, because I know you have it. It says right on the label, like, for fruit and apple trees. Like, thrips live in apple trees. I had no idea. Right on the front of the bottle. At least mine says that. I don't have it right next to me, but it does. It says apple trees on there. So I immediately started panicking, like the thrips are gonna get in the house. They're gonna eat my plants. Like, I had dealt with thrips last winter. Like, it's not fun. They're honestly my least favorite houseplant pest. If you had them, you know, it's terrible. Yeah, so basically I started spraying around the pool, spraying all the apple trees with Captain Jack's, and something else I found online was, sorry, I'm trying to do this and talk at the same time. It's not really the best idea. But basically I found online was that like like a deterrent, they don't like the smell of like peppermint oil or whatever, which we had because we kind of had like a mild tick problem. Also, so I was spraying that and Captain Jack's because Captain Jack's is dog friendly. And they wanted to only spray stuff that's dog friendly because their dog like eats stuff outside, like eats the grass, which makes sense. Like, I obviously didn't want to kill their dog. I just wanted to kill the thrips. So I was doing that, and like they were not phased, to say the least. Like, as I was spraying them, like, they would stop moving and they would just stand there. So, like, they knew they didn't like that. But, like, they would still be there the next day just fine, running around all over the pool, all over the trees, just living their best life. This is, like, weeks of this. Like, weeks of me spraying apple trees and around the pool and around the yard. Just like terrified that they're all gonna come in the house and eat the plants and me, because they bite humans now too. I didn't know that. Then they're like, okay, Emma didn't want us to cut down the trees because, you know, Emma's a hippie and doesn't want people to cut down the trees, but now she's okay with it. We're gonna do it. Because they're just going to keep living in the apple trees for years, and that's probably what happened before, and the old owners didn't really notice what was happening. So they got rid of the apple trees, and the thrips were obviously still around because we got rid of their house, and they're like, what do we do now? So I have had some thrips. I've had thrips on my outdoor plants. I have a few loofah plants and some flowers and some stuff like that outside. But I've also seen a couple inside. I should have been like doing a preventative pest treatment also inside when this was happening. But there was just a lot going on around this time, and I was not really caring for my plants the best, so that didn't really happen. So I have been spraying my plants with 8. At least the ones like in the living room here, like where they're closest to the door. Because this doesn't make any sense. It's like leaning the opposite direction. But eventually it'll get closer to the pole. So yeah, the majority of the thrips are gone. They've either like moved on, found somewhere else to live, maybe gone out to the cornfield that's across the way. I don't really know where they live, if they don't live in apple trees or houseplants, but they'll probably just live in another tree and eat that up. I don't know. I've only seen a handful of baby thrips in the house. I haven't seen any adult thrips in the house. So I don't know. I mean, I've done all that I can do. Now it's just kind of like a wait and see. Like I'll keep spraying the plants inside. But at this point, it's just like inevitable, I think. But I mean, like when I say that there was millions of them, like crazy. It was crazy. Like so many. So who knows what's gonna happen. So I think what actually is happening is my camera is overheating, which I've heard happens when it runs for too long. So I probably didn't need to change the memory card, but whatever. So while that was chilling out, I did end up repotting 2 of the other plants that I wanted to repot. The spider plant was in this pot here, and this prayer plant was in the purple pot. I got it from a plant trade, and I'm glad I took this out because it was in a really dense mix. So I'm glad that I repotted both of these. This spider plant kind of already outgrew this pot in the few months it has been in here, because this was one of the plants that I kind of condensed when I was moving, and it's in this cute pot that I got from somebody off of Etsy or Instagram. I think like I followed them on Instagram, and then they have a shop on Etsy, and it's just a really cute pot and I love it. And yeah, I did bring out the Zion that I won in a giveaway on Kirsten Joe's Instagram page a while back, but I just got it a few weeks ago because I told her to wait to send it because all this crap was happening. And I was trying to get like settled in and stuff, so I didn't want, yeah. Basically, she waited a while to send it to me as my request, and I brought it out to use it today, and I forgot to use it for the Jose, so I sat it right here because I was like, oh, I'll use it for the next 2. Forgot again. So whatever. The next 2 things I have written down to talk about is just like general life, which I don't think I'm gonna really go into that because I feel like general life has been what I've just talked about for the last hour. So basically I moved. I'm glad I did. It's just been a little hectic to say the least, but we are on the up and up, and I'm just trying to get back into the swing of things. Last thing I had wrote down was just like Instagram questions. One of the Instagram questions was like, how has it been? Like, how much did you downsize? And all the plants recover well was the first question. I talked about that in the beginning of the video, so I'm not going to answer that again. Then my mom asked me, do you always loosen up the roots, and why do you do that? is what she wrote. I think the battery might have died. I don't know. We're struggling, I guess, today. So if you would have asked me a year ago, I would say yes, I always loosen up the roots as best I can without like messing with them too much, I guess. Nowadays, I really haven't been like disturbing the roots that much because you don't really have to, and there's kind of controversial thoughts about this topic. Like some people swear by it. Some people are like, you have to disturb the roots. You have to get rid of all the old soil. And I secretly reuse my soils. I guess it's not a secret anymore. The only time that I don't reuse my soil is if there's like a pest issue or like a fungus or bacteria issue that the soil is just dirty. The answer is, what was the question? Oh my goodness, you guys. Do you always loosen up the roots, and why do you do that? So my answer is no, I don't always do it. With this guy, I didn't show you it, but it was in a pretty dense mix. So I did take most of the soil off, and then I mixed it with my own soil and just reused it. So do whatever you want is basically what I'm gonna say, because I'm not right, you're not right. Do whatever works for you, do whatever you're comfortable with, and go with that. But Mom, if you want me to disturb your roots, I'm probably not gonna do that. Next question. I guess the next two questions are from my sister. What is the best part of your new job? And follow-up question, what is your favorite plant right now? The best part of my new job is being around plants constantly and learning about plants constantly. Like, I learn 10 new things a day, a minimum. Like, I'm not exaggerating. Like, there's so much I did not know about plants. Let's just say I have a very privileged position. See, why did I do this? I knew that I was gonna put this in moss, and I didn't put moss all the way to the bottom. Whatever. I have a very privileged job, I guess is what I'm gonna say. I am working with plants every day, all day. Even if I'm in the store, like, I'm still surrounded by the majority of the house plants we have. Did you see that? That almost just fell off the table. So it's hard to pick like one specific thing, but definitely just like being surrounded by plants, being able to like talk to plant people and talk about plants all day, every day. What was the other question she had? What's your favorite houseplant right now? That's really hard to answer because like I have my general favorites that are like always my favorite, and like I try to do favorite videos, which I haven't even done a spring favorite video, so I was gonna try to film that today after this. But like my always favorite plant is probably like a Monstera deliciosa. This guy. I mean, like, he needs water right now, so he's kind of hunched over, but I just, like, if I could only have one plant in my house ever, it would be like the Monstera deliciosa family. Like, obviously I'd want all the variegated ones, but another thing too, I didn't really mention this with the downsizing question at the beginning and the moving question at the beginning, but all of the plants that I have like right now are, you know, like the plants that I couldn't live without. So it's kind of nice to have my collection be like compressed, I guess. It's not like crazy downsized. Like I still have probably 100 plants at least. And then 2 like with cuttings and stuff, but it's just nice to know that like all of my favorite plants are the ones that I still have. And a lot of my plants like have sentimental value. Okay guys, I've been filming for a very long time and I'm just gonna leave it at that. I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover in today's video, and it's probably gonna be super long and ranty, so you know me. Leave this emoji down below if you've made it to this point in the video, and yeah, I'm just gonna leave the intro short and sweet, or outro short and sweet as well, because I don't really have anything else to say. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below about something planting. I don't know. Have a great day, guys. We'll see you in my next one. Bye.